I don't really feel like leftist unity should be that difficult of a thing. So I assume if you're watching this video, you're somewhere on the left of the political spectrum. If we just do away with the specific labels, like ignore like labels like communist, socialist, anarchist, like liberal, whatever, then, and just look at what the ideals that are common to all those different ideologies are, you see that there's a lot of overlap. And the word I think that sums up that overlap perfectly is egalitarianism. Everything is moving towards some kind of egalitarian system, something that is anti-hierarchical in one form or another. Now, there are different systems that tackle different types of inequality and different types of hierarchy. You got explicit hierarchies, which I would say anarchists are probably the most focused on. These are things like the kind of hierarchies that come up through the existence of the state and through large corporations and things like that, sort of explicit, powerful structures. You've then got economic hierarchies, which is more what communism and socialism are trying to address, in that you have rich people, you have poor people. The rich people have a lot of power, the poor people have got friggin' nothing. Maybe we should just spread things out a little bit, make it all a little bit more egalitarian. And then finally, and probably the most interestingly in this discussion, I think, is the identity politics side of things. I don't really like using that term, but I know that I can say that and you know what I'm talking about. So, things like LGBT rights. We're basically saying that if you're not straight, you can still be treated the same and live exactly the same as straight people do. Openly, happily, comfortably, without worrying about getting punched in the streets. There's also race, obviously. That's been one that's been explicitly hierarchical in the past. We still have a lot of traces of that left. I don't know if you've noticed. So we're working on that one as well. But you've basically got the social element. So that kind of works into that sort of three-dimensional political spectrum that people quite often use, being the authoritarian, economic, and social scales. And usually you go left to right when you're talking about that because no one's got any imagination and those are the only terms we use. When really, all three of those make more sense. If you've got hierarchical on the right, sorry, we'll do your right. Sorry, this is confusing. If you've got hierarchical on the right, that's your right, not mine, and egalitarian on the left. So really what we're talking about is you're either hierarchical or egalitarian on each of those three scales. And really the thing that unites the left is the fact that we believe in egalitarianism of one form or another, quite often multiple ones. So I don't think it's too hard to get to a point where anything that is breaking down any kind of hierarchy and is making things more equal amongst different people should be the things that we're moving towards. And I think you can disagree with someone else on one of those three, but still agree on one of them and find projects to work towards. Like if some authoritarian communists, right, get into politics and actually start building up, like a bit of a support base. I'm not an authoritarian. I don't think the state should have unlimited power, but if they start introducing policy that makes things more economically egalitarian, then I don't see that as such a bad thing. I'm still going to fight them as the state, or I'm still going to try and curb their power as the state, but I'm going to be for their policies. And I think we on the left quite often get caught up in the ends never being able to justify the means. And yes, that's a terrible way to justify something. But at the same time, our ends are pretty similar. We mostly disagree on the means. The means being, should we try and implement this through legislation or the state, or should we just get out there and do it ourselves? I don't see any problem with us using a bunch of different methods to get to the same ends. And and if some of those things are problematic, just don't participate in them. Only stop people if it's actively harmful to what you're doing. If there's small things you can do to, popularize collectivist policy or to support grassroots community movements, or hell, even just to make the broader world a bit more okay with people who are different from them. These are the small things that we can do to support people outside of our own little political movements. Because ultimately, we're all together trying to just make the world a less shitty and oppressive place. Just focus on what unites us. And that is we're all against oppression. I'm going to leave you with the image that was in the thumbnail that I saw on Reddit. Play nice. Look after those in your community. look after yourself, and until next time, much love. That'll do. That's fine, I guess.